Hey guys, thank you for taking the time to watch this. Over the course of this video I'm going to be detailing how I created sound effects for the game Cube and then implemented and mixed them using Audiokinetics Wwise. To begin with, I created an assets list containing all the sounds I wanted in the game. I then added ideas and notes and ticked them off as they were created, implemented and mixed. To keep things clean and organised, each family of sounds had its own folder in the Finder and its own actor mixer parent. It was important to make several versions of each sound and then apply small amounts of pitch and volume randomization to decrease repetition. The aesthetic of the game reminded me somewhat of the Doom series, and for that reason I decided I wanted most of the sounds to be dark and scary, with a small percentage of the effects being more light-hearted and funny. I made all the creature sounds from recordings of my own voice, with the exceptions of the Hell Pig, which I made using a blend of pig squeals and metal scraping. For the screams of the creature known as the Bowl, I recorded myself groaning several times at a sample rate of 192k. I then used Vocalline to match the timings before pitching the recording down and layering it with an earthquake sample. That took the sound from this to this. For the voice of the rhino, I recorded my voice into vocal synth, giving me this kind of sound. I then processed the results through TalkBox and added EQ and tremolo. To make him sound like he was dying or powering down, I put the second half of some of the articulations through Verify. For the voice of the rat, I recorded some screeches. I then added distortion, pitch shift, EQ and tremolo, which gave me this sound. The DCP voice was created by recording each line 3 times, and then lining them up with Vocalline, which gave them a sort of natural chorusing sound. I then added pitch, phaser, compression, delay and EQ, which took it from sounding like this
Maintenance area, access open.
to this.
Maintenance area, access open.
To create the shotgun sound, I blended several layers together. A low-pass filtered dubstep kick drum, a shot, some metal clunking noises, and a tail. I then blended them using EQ, multiband compression, saturation, and a transient designer. The health, armor, teleporter, and spawn sounds were created using wavetable synthesis. I decided to give the rocket 2 explosion types, a close-up bang and a far-off pop. I then used the attenuations page in Wwise to make one play when it exploded near to the player, and one when it blew up far away. The majority of sounds were placed in random containers. These random containers were then connected to the appropriate events so they would trigger in the game. I then selected whether these sounds were to be 3D or 2D, and set a curve for the attenuations and low-pass filtering of the 3D sounds. I then limited how many sounds of each type could play back simultaneously to stop my mix becoming a cacophony. The shotgun sounds were placed in a sequence container so I could get the sounds of the blast followed by the reload and then the shell hitting the floor. To implement the footsteps, I first created a switch container and selected the group material. I created sequence containers and 2 random containers for each floor type. I then placed 4 footsteps in a random container for the left foot and 4 for the right foot. Because the footsteps play back too quickly in the game, I also inserted some silence to slow the pace a bit. I then assigned an order in the playlist before assigning each sequence container to the appropriate material. Each family of sounds, monster voices, weapons, etc., was routed to its own mixer bus. This was useful for mixing, but was also useful for sidechaining and effects. I wanted to set up an underwater loop and some low-pass filtering for when the player became submerged in water. To do this, I set up a bus called In Water, with a constantly playing underwater loop assigned to it. I set the state in water, and then set a low-pass filter on all the other buses so that when the player was in water, the filter would be applied. I used a similar method to create a different soundscape when the player's health is low. I placed a real-time parameter control on each of the buses and assigned it to the game parameter player health. Once the player's health drops below 25, an aggressive low-pass filter is put in place. At the same time, another RTPC raises the volume of the ear ringing and the heartbeat loops. To add reverb to the game, I first entered the editor mode drew in the areas that I wanted to add reverb to, and typed in the relevant commands. I created 4 different reverbs, small, medium, large and corridor, and placed them throughout the level. I then went into Wwise and customized the reverb presets until I found the sounds I was looking for. Low, medium and high intensity music was placed into 3 separate music playlist containers. These were then placed in a music switch container, which was set to change when the player activated certain switches in the game.
Main control room.
Finally, I added some atmospheres and far-off screams to help build the mood and tension. Thanks for taking the time to listen to my audio implementation for the GameCube. If you've got any questions, then feel free to send me an email.